prison and coming back home and wanting to be a productive citizen of society. I pay taxes, I work, I think I should have the right to vote.
As far as being formerly incarcerated, everything was taken away from us because of a decision that we made. And voting is a way of getting some of that stuff back.
I think not having that right is not, I'm not totally entering society without it.
I think that when a person's convicted of a crime and sentenced, essentially there's sort of a ceremony at sentencing of knocking a person down a couple of notches, right? You take away a lot of different rights. There's a lot of collateral consequences attached to that. And we don't have any similar ceremony to bring a person back up once they've completed their sentence. And I think that giving a person back their right to vote is sort of a way of saying, look, you know, you've done your time, now you rejoin society.
You're ineligible to vote if you've been convicted of a felony and you're currently incarcerated or on parole. Otherwise, you can vote. You can vote if you have a misdemeanor conviction. You can also vote if you're on probation. People with criminal records who want to vote may get a totally different story depending on who they speak to, and that's one of the things that we've been most concerned about, is making sure that we can get the word out throughout the public.
During the time I was in prison and while I was on parole, I was restricted from being able to register and vote in New York State. The day I got off of parole, I became eligible to vote under New York State law. Although I knew I had the right to register and vote the day I got off of parole, the local board of election in the Bronx sent back a letter telling me that I needed to prove to them that I was no longer on parole. It took a couple of months to get through the red tape and convince them that they were wrong and that they were violating the law themselves. Ultimately, I was able to vote, but after a huge lift.
There are a lot of public policy issues that I think would be affected in a positive way by people with criminal records voting. In New York City, there's high concentrations of people from a very set number of neighborhoods who are actually in the criminal justice system. It's important that people who are incarcerated and then return to those neighborhoods have their voices heard. I think it's a result of a lot of the social deficiencies in those neighborhoods in the first place that lead people to wind up incarcerated, and it's only by voting and having everyone's voices heard that we can really change those things. Social service programs, access to education, employment opportunities are all things that get improved for the better.
When I was released from parole, and I knew that I had the right to vote again, it was like a weight being lifted off my shoulders.
It isn't until now that I finally got my life straight that the voting matters to me, because I do want to be a part of society. I do want to count.